Alrighty. So we are in the 1982 320 IS. Although they didn't really call it the IS, it was just the 320i with the Sport Package. IS for shorthand. IS didn't show up until the E30. Anyways, yeah, cool little E21. 219,000 miles and counting on this one. And we'll just take her for a quick spin. Because why not? Out to take some photos with her. Good time to do some video. And yeah, see what she's like. So, got this little twisty road. I'm not a big fan of gravel because you can't really hear much over the gravel, but we'll get out of the gravel, we'll drive down here, then we'll park somewhere quiet eventually, and we'll go over the car in detail. But this is a good, honest, original car. Being that it is the Sport Package equipped version, which feel free to grill me in the comments or whatever if I get any of this wrong. I'm not a big E21 guy, just because, well, I haven't really spent a whole lot of time around them, and I just don't know too much about them. But my understanding is the Sport Package was an US only thing, and they only made about 2,500 of them over the course of the E21 run. I think 81 to 83 for the Sport Package, this being an 82. Yeah, with that you get a front air dam, some fog lights, really nice, on this one anyways, really nice leather wrapped 3-spoke sport steering wheel. You get the cool Recaro Sport seats. This one's in cloth. Cloth is a little tore up, but the seats are actually, the rest of them, the seat meat, it's all really good shape. Structurally it's good. Sound still holds me really well. It's a really nice little seat. I believe you got a rear sway bar and a beefier front sway bar with the Sport Package. I don't know if the struts are different. Struts and shocks might be different. And a deluxe toolkit. Maybe you get an extra screwdriver in the little toolkit. That's the flip down one on the rear deck lid on the inside. And then you get, what else do you get? Oh yeah, you get the cool little 13-inch basket weave style wheels. Yeah. So let's drive this thing. There's some speed bumps. We'll go over here. You'll hear the suspension do its suspending. Original color, and best I can tell, mostly original paint. There's some spots that are suspect that have some checking and stuff in some small areas that have been maybe touched up a time or two. The paint's not in the best shape, a little faded in some spots, but it still presents really well. It's an excellent, I don't know, 20-footer. Hell rod red. It's almost an orange. Vacuum truck. We'll run it through the gears over here. liter M10 engine. The long storied M10 engine. It feels healthy, feels strong. You know, not a powerhouse. It is a healthy little motor. Transmission shifts very well. Clutch feels good. It's a little poppy little clutch. Not a ton of play in it. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast, I think. Again, I haven't spent a ton of time behind the wheel of these things. I have driven one very lightly in the past. But it feels good. It feels proper to me. There are some squeaks in here. Squeaks and rattles. You can hear one. This guy. A little lower center console and ashtray, a little bit on the noisy side, but it is pretty tight in here. Everything feels bolted down pretty good for almost 220,000 miles. You can hear it's certain. Really read at about 2,800 RPM, right there. I don't know if the mic is grabbing it. But there is a little rattle coming out of the engine bay. It definitely feels like a heat shield. It's a very tinny rattle. Right there. Comes and goes based on RPM. Definitely sounds like a heat shield or something to that effect. It does not sound like it's coming out of the engine. It's very tinny. Feels close. Cold temp great. Fuel gauge works. Headlights work. High beams work. Signal. Horn honks. It does have the manual sunroof, which is kind of cool. I've not played with it. I have a phobia of attempting to work old sunroofs. It is a manual roof though, so I'm sure it's fine, but I'm not in the mood to tempt fate today. Especially since it's supposed to start really raining in about an hour for a couple of days straight. So before this guy goes up for sale for auction, I will get that tested out and get that in the notes about what it wants to do. Manual steering feels very good when you're driving. A little pain trying to parallel park, but let's face it, you're going to be spending more time driving this than parallel parking it. So I like it. It feels really good. It's quite the contrast from the GS300 I just drove, which is very much a different car. Visibility is fabulous. One thing that driving cars of this era, you know, stuff designed in the mid-70s as this was, as a follow-up to the, you know, the new class, the 2002, you still get this excellent visibility. A ton of glass, really skinny little pillars. As long as you don't put it on its roof, it really is a boon to have this huge quarter glass. Really just a ton of visibility in a small package. It makes it a lot of fun. And yeah, it doesn't make a lot of power, but it's lively, it's fun. It feels like what it is, which is right between the E30 and the new class. You know, it's suspension and motor feels a little new classy. But the interior, the dashboard, the door cards feel a lot more E30. It's kind of a nice blend of the two. And I like it. I dig it. I think this is, for what it's ultimately going to go for, it's going to be worth it. You know, these are really starting to get the bump because the E30s and 2002s are really, I don't want to say running out of control as far as the pricing goes, but this really fills a nice niche between those two cars and their price points, and it's just fun to drive. So I'm gonna go up here, we'll turn it around, I'll find a spot where we can do some walk around of the car. It is wet. That was the wheels. Tires are probably on the older side. I'll check the date codes. I saw the fronts were a little bit more than a little bit worn. They're not unsafe, but that would be the one thing I would do on this car, is I would probably do tires. I tend to do tires on cars when I buy them anyways, for me, unless they're brand spanking new, because they're cheap insurance, and maybe it's the car geek in me, but buying tires is fun. I like getting fresh tires, fresh new shoes, new kicks, and these are 13s, so they're gonna be shockingly inexpensive. 200 bucks, 250 bucks probably buys you 7 decent tires that are gonna be better than anything that was out when this car was new. Even your absolute cheapest bargain basement 13-inch tires are gonna be much nicer than anything in 1981 or 82 when this puppy was getting bought. So we'll run back down here. And along with that wheel spin, that reminds me of the one option I don't think I mentioned when we were talking about what comes on the sport package in this car. Limited slip differential, which is maybe the most important one out of all of them. And yeah, it just makes for a fun little car. We'll get to the stop sign. We'll stop talking. Let you guys do a little bit of automotive ASMR or whatever. Just listen. And then we'll check it out. gentlemen. I'm just gonna park right here for just a second. We'll get some photos done. All right. Now we are walking around the 82 E21 320i with the sport package, the IS, if you will. That's the power mirrors. Hand crank windows. Door cards are actually in really good shape. Pillows are good. The factory Recaro seats. Fabric's a little tore up. This one bolster's pretty flat. You can see some of the framing of the seat. But they do hold up well, pretty well overall. Steering wheel, excellent. Headlights, defroster, all that works. There's some wear of the carpet down here. And the pedal, kind of to be expected. Heel and heel. Dash also has some cracking. It's not falling apart. You know, it's presentable, but definitely has some cracks. Well, let's just start it. Yelling at us. So how cool is this door handle? Pretty rad. Windows all work. Manual windows. Nothing crazy to write home about, but it works. See if this guy can get by. He can. Great. Mirrors don't seem to be working. So, if that's a deal breaker, be aware of it. Power windows, non-operational. Lights, defrost, fogs, all that works. Hazards. Factory stereo, which is rad. Does work.
Talking about immigration, just
haven't tested a tape, so your mileage may vary there. Oh, glove box. Okay, I thought it was locked. It's not. It's very empty. But we got a glove box. Shifter. The boot's in pretty good shape. A couple small little tears. Shifter's got some wear, but presentable. Pretty cool. Parking brake works. All right, let me try the sunroof. does work. I'm not going to press my luck. I'm not going to crank it all the way open, but seems to be working. And how cool is that? That's a factory, or at least a dealer add-on BMW windshield, or wind guard for the sunroof, which is pretty cool. And, whew, okay, did indeed close. Huzzah! Visors, mirrors. Back seats, they exist. They're the same condition as the front seats. A little tore up, a little sun damage on the tops. A little fading to the package tray, but intact. Headliner's pretty good, couple little nicks. But I think the theme of this car is good driver. Interesting, cool, fun driver. One thing I did pick up, here, listen to this. Let's close the door. Hear that? Clutch in, and that little bit of gear whine goes away. Clutch out, comes back. So I would assume, that sounds to me like gear noise out of the transmission, at least at the input shaft, because we're just in neutral right now. It doesn't necessarily get worse while you're driving it. I haven't noticed it. And I don't know how common that is for these gearboxes. Really, any gearbox with 220,000 miles, I would expect some noise out of it. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. It doesn't really worry me too much, but it is noteworthy. I noticed it while driving it, or not driving it, just idling it, doing some of the photos. So, yeah, noteworthy. As I understand it is original. Probably a really nice polish job would bring some of these faded spots back a lot. All this polished trim is in pretty decent shape. Got some scratches and imperfections, but all pretty well and good. But this is one of the spots I noticed that maybe is been touched up in the past. You can see there's some pretty good checking here. The same here. So I think maybe this was spot painted at one point. That's what I was talking about on the front tires. Very edge worn. Center tread is okay, just above the wear bars, but I would do tires. They look like they're maybe from 2004, so I would definitely do tires. They're not unsafe to drive around town, but worth doing. There's a little bite on the nose here. The end of the world. Another spot on the paint that I noticed here, and then this upper piece of the door looks a little bit more orange, and you can see here there's some imperfections. So I think this upper portion of the door was painted, but not the lower. They just kept it over this body line. Because if you can kind of see, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Yeah, you can see there's a hard line right there. So somebody's painted just that one spot on the door. The body really is straight. parking here. Some cracks in this lamp here. Same with that one. And I think those might be the original plates. Not entirely certain. Frame rails and everything structurally look very, very, very good. No rust. True and true California car. Ignore my camera stiffs. Let's see what we got under here. Looks pretty good. The deluxe toolkit. Let's see what lurks in here. Not open this. And yeah, maybe half of it's there. Maybe a little bit less. Got some bolts. Missing some metric wrenches. Exhaust hangers, maybe? Or no, those are probably for the headlamps. I don't completely remember how to pop the hood on this. So I'm just going to pause this real quick, and we're going to resume here in a second once I get this guy open. I think I remember how. I think you undo the latch, you slide it forward, you pop it up. But let me find out. Yeah, I'm silly. It literally was that simple. I popped it forward, I popped it, pushed it forward, then you pick it up. Easy peasy. Kind of rough. Not hell rough. I got my BMW colors mixed up. It is kind of rough. Pretty much it. So as per usual, gonna be sending this one over to the good people at Cars and Bids. By the time you see this video, it's probably live because I'm gonna try and sync them up so they all go at the same time. If something changes, I'll amend this. But yeah, keep an eye out if you want to see more of these videos as cars are going live. Get the drop, figure out when and where they are for sale, do the whole subscribe notification stuff so you don't miss out. And yeah, bid often, bid early. Doodles.